Well, she made it through. Here we are, proud dad. Well done, you. I'm with Molly, Interior Design Masters 2022. Made it through the first round, very, very pleased. And what we said we're going to do, we're going to do a kind of behind the scenes, lead up, you know, what were the ideas behind it? What do you feel? What would you change? Kind of just a general sort of just a little Q&A type thing. And I mean, the biggest question in my mind is, was there a theme to that then, or what? What was that all about?
Yeah, so in all of my designs I do, whether like on the show or in, you know, personal work that I've done and interior design in general, I like to put a sort of personal touch on it. I like everything that I do to have a bit of a story. So obviously our first brief was in Manchester, so I sort of focused on the Manchester worker bee, and it's their, you know, mascot and emblem, and for them being sort of hardworking kind of people. So I tried to hone in on that. I thought it'd be really nice to have a nod to the local area and where you are and that sort of thing. So from everything, so when you walk in, and I designed a sort of like hand printed hive pattern, which I designed myself, and it had all the colours in the room. It had like peaches and teals and golds and stuff. And I designed it and got it printed on this sort of quite resilient, like almost waterproof fabric to reupholster a bench seat in, which is when you come in, you like to your left, you can literally sit down on this sort of like hard-wearing hive print, and then you've got like a little shoe storage for your shoes to go under. So that was sort of a nod to the, you know, bee thing. Even the big blancmange, as Alan calls it.
That was quite amusing, that, on the show. You know, you and Alan sort of, what do you say, sort of like nailing a blancmange to a wall or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like nailing a blancmange to a wall. Putting
I remember me, you and your mother had to try and construct that light. It took us ages. That took like an entire Saturday afternoon getting that together, yeah.
Yeah, well, we give it a bash just to see how it went, and then when I got there I was like, let's put it all together, and it was really long and really hard. But anyway, so that was meant to look like a kind of hive, which, you know, I think it did, so that was that. Also, there's a big bee canvas, which again I hand drew and had it scanned in and had it be printed as a big canvas sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's really important to give everything a bit more of a personal touch and theme, so the space kind of flowed, and it's all, as I say, hand designed. So that's, I do a lot of print design and stuff, so that was cool.
So you say you felt that it flowed. Michelle says she couldn't see a language.
Yeah, she couldn't see.
I mean, is that fair? Would you say that's fair?
Well, yes, I mean, in some ways I do completely know what she's talking about. It's really difficult, as we know, like you get literally 2 days to do the install, you get like a short amount of time on the lead up to get everything together. And obviously the first one I did, so it was like on the show, you're being filmed, you've got to get stuff quite quickly, and it's quite sort of intense. So no, I do sort of understand what she meant about the language thing. I mean, ideally there were sort of a few things I changed, like some of the colours. Initially I was going to have the emerald green sofa. I thought that teal wallpaper was going to be more of an emerald green as opposed to a teal. The chair that I had initially was going to be cream, like a contrast matching with the rug and the gold and everything. But, you know, you just have to get it all in such a short period of time. And even if you check it, you don't really have time to send things back. So you've just got to sort of run with it and, you know, hope it works.
I suppose you're kind of up against it, isn't it? I mean, you might have your ideal thing in mind.
Yeah.
And you think, well, I'd love that. And then you look at it and they go 4 to 6 weeks turnaround. And obviously you've got to produce it.
Yeah, and it's obviously absolutely, like most things when you order a sofa, it can take like 8 weeks to arrive or something. So you've got to A, get stuff that's in the time frame. B, as I say, you have got really quite a tight budget, so you've got to find stuff that's like reasonable. So yeah, you think, well, this is what I want it to look like, and then you've got to kind of work backwards, obviously, to, you know, and that's sort of where I ended up. But no, I do understand what she meant about the language thing. And yeah, I learned a lot from week one. I mean, the round chair, which got criticism with the rectangular sofa, that for me was it swiveled. So I did resent the fact that you know, they said they couldn't see the thought behind it, which for me was crushing because I put so much thought into every
what was the thought behind the round chair then? What was the point of it swiveling?
Well, the fact that, so I reconfigured the rooms. When you first sort of went in, the sofa was sort of dumped facing the wall, and I thought, well, and part of the brief it actually said to hone in on the view, because you can see from some of the pictures it looks like there's loads of just buildings out there, but if you're actually there's all this grassland outside the apartments. So I actually turned the sofa so that it was facing this big view, and the round chair in the corner It swiveled like the whole way round 360, and it was just so you could sit in that cozy corner. It was like a big snuggly chair. You could spin round with a cup of tea, read a book, look out at the view, but also spin round and watch the telly, spin round and talk to your friends. So there was a practical thought.
There's a method. There's method in the madness there.
Yes, method in the madness.
No kind of thing. Right. So the study collaboration. Just make sure. Yeah, you can still see. How was it working with Rich?
Wonderful. I loved working with Rich. It was so gutting when he went home. No, it was really great. I mean, when we got there, obviously it's crazy because you haven't ever met anyone before, and then you haven't obviously had a chance to pre-plan your designs, because you've gathered all your stuff and you're going to do like a collaboration on the study, but you don't know whether, I could have bought a desk and a chair and a bookcase, and he could have bought a desk and a chair and a bookcase, and you think, well, you just don't know what to do because you're working with this other person, you haven't met them, you hadn't had a chance to sort of chat to them or plan or anything. And with all of that in mind, it went so well for us when we were working on it together. Like, I got there and I hadn't bought a desk chair, but I had bought a huge plank of wood, which I was thinking, if the other person hasn't bought a desk, we can use as a floating desk. So he had a study chair, I had a desk. Obviously, he is famously known for being the most exceptional, awesome mural artist in the whole world. I had thought to do some sort of mural or shape on that back study wall because the brief focused a lot on sort of, being modern and contemporary, and I sort of thought those geometric shapes and stuff would do that. And then obviously I was paired with Rich, and I was like, the geometric shape
result. We'll just get him to do it. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
So obviously he did what I thought was a beautiful mural on the back wall, and it was really clever because he pulled in all the colours from his room and my room and the living room, so that we really wanted the study to be a cohesive space, and I think we worked really hard and really well on making that so yeah. And he was just such a delight. We had so much fun. It was just a real shame when he went home, but he's such a talent. It was a real shame.
So you were generally happy with it. Would you say you fulfilled the brief? Would you say you've done the thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we got the brief, it just honed in on the fact that they wanted it to be modern, light, fresh, airy, contemporary, that sort of thing. And for me, pretty much all of those words aren't my natural design style.
Well, you're kind of Miss Maximalist, aren't you?
Well,
really?
kind of. I mean, in my own home, I have it very maximalist. But even when I design for other people, I'm able to fit a brief. That's one thing I do think I'm quite kind of good at, but also maybe not so much because I should put my own stamp on things more, which is something.
I suppose the truth lies somewhere in between. I think. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, so. It was all really light and fresh and contemporary. So I do feel like I did that. Looking back on it, as I say, I would have done so many things differently. Again, if it was for me, there would have been much warmer tones. It would have been much richer. There would have been more sort of raw materials. But I just honed in a lot on the fact that it's got to be light, fresh and modern, and light, fresh and modern. So I was like, well, teal's a nice modern colour. And then if we keep all the furniture really light and minimal and white and, add accents of gold so it's sort of a bit more luxurious, that's where I went. So yeah, I feel like, it did meet the brief.
What would you, if anything, what would you change about your design?
Oh, there's many things upon reflection I would change about my design. But again, you've only got so much time and so much money, and you just have to do the best with what you've got. So I would, again, probably change the chair. So it was the round chair would have been great, but in a different colour. So it didn't just seem like there was sort of, I think, Michelle was sort of thinking that it just seemed like there was all these tones which were basically really similar. And, I've just thought I'll match everything and that's how it works. That was not my thought pattern. In any design that I do, I love to add textures and contrast and all that stuff, but it was just kind of what I ended up with. So I just sort of changed the chair so it was a more contrasting, textured, interesting colour. The plants above the dining table, which Alan liked to wear as a little
yeah, they made a good hat.
hair.
Yeah, absolutely. You look like Karma Brandon.
That really was just such a stupid move on my behalf, because as you may see from the room around me, real plants are my thing.
Kind of big on plants.
Big on plants, plant gal. It's like a jungle. So I just ordered these quite tacky pretend plants, but that was also because I thought they might die, because they're rentals and I didn't know how long it was going to be there, and to kill some plants for the purpose of that, it's not worth it. Also, but then looking back on it, I thought they did look a bit tacky and cheap, and if I'd got really opulent, big, real plants, it would have looked much nicer. And I would have made everything just warmer and more Molly. That's where I fell down, really. I think I sort of did hone in on the brief so much that I almost sort of stopped myself, because I could have made it more like just plush and opulent and warmer and better.
So with that in mind, what do you think you've learned? What would you've gone through week one, you're moving on as an interior designer.
Yeah.
What do you think the week one has actually taught you?
I think I do just need to put my own stamp on things more. It all comes down to confidence at the end of the day. Although I have had years of experience doing actual professional interior design before the pandemic, lost that job, working in an office, go on the show. Just a bit of context if everyone doesn't know how I actually came to this point. Although I've had years of experience doing interior design, obviously you have more time, you're not so much under pressure, you're not on the TV, you're not, I was just in my head a lot, I panicked a lot, and I ended up with something that I didn't think was quite, I still like my design, I still stand by my design. I think it was classic, and I think it was fresh, and I think it fit the brief. But for me, I've learnt to push more for me, be more eclectic, be more warm. And one thing that I definitely didn't do enough in week one was build and design enough. Although the one thing that I did do that they didn't feature, which I was very, very sad about, is in the study. It's basically a guest bedroom, which we obviously are turning into a study. And there's this built-in wardrobe section that Peter did the amazing swivel doors on them, and Dean made a really nice feature of it, and Amy put the beautiful wallpaper behind it. So a lot of people made a really nice feature of it. But I didn't want to leave that wardrobe as just sort of a wardrobe. So I used one side to do sort of storage for stationery and stuff, because obviously it's a study. And the other side, I made this bespoke upholstered little snuggly bench seat thing. So it was all like covered in velvet. It was this big squishy cushion. It had two others like cushions on it, and then these little lights above it. So, and a little tray so you could have like a cup of tea. So I made this whole little snuggy area out of something that was just kind of disused and been forgotten about, which I thought was quite a clever design idea as opposed to just a decoration thing. But they didn't feature it, so I just thought I'd tell you about that.
I guess there's only so much time in a show.
Of course.
But long and short of it, made it through.
Yes.
Week 2, here we come. Also, I mean, you're still out doing the thing. You're still doing your own private interior design things, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you said if anyone's got any comments or any questions,
Absolutely.
just leave them. You're happy to just sort
Absolutely.
of. So if you've got a problem with the study, or you can't work out how to do this with your room or what colour it is, you're more than happy to give people a hand.
Yeah, even any
to
questions
crash
about the
online.
show, any questions about this video, any questions about anything, just feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll answer.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for watching. That's brilliant, and we'll hopefully bring you another one of these next week. Fingers crossed.
See how it goes.
Bing bong.
Thank you. Right, I'll turn them off.